Hi, everybody. Super excited for this session. It's, as Green said, very rare that founders get actual feedback on pitch decks from real venture capital partners. So the format's going to work like so. Each founder is going to come out, and these are 4 that we've selected from our Battlefield 200. Each founder is going to come out. They're going to pitch for 3 minutes, and then we'll have about 5 minutes to give feedback, and then it'll be on to the next one. So we ready to go?
Mm-hmm. Ready. Let's go.
First up, we have Grant Muller from GaleAI.
Are the slides going to pop up, or just hit the button? Yeah.
There you go.
Well, so, hello, I'm Grant Muller. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of GaleAI, a medical AI coding company. Do you know how your doctor gets paid? Well, neither do they. That's why they leave almost $400 billion on the table every year, and it's only getting worse over time. And a lot of this comes from coding incorrectly, fighting with insurance. So medicine's hard. We spend 10 years of our life neglecting every other part of it to learn the art of medicine. But no one ever really tells us the business of medicine. And you know, this is something we're responsible for, but we're never taught. And so, for instance, an Achilles tendon tear isn't just an Achilles tendon tear, it's an S86.011D. And if I get that wrong, I don't get paid. And to borrow a great analogy from the founder of Nurture, Kristen Ellefson, that's like expecting your grocer to have memorized the barcode on a bag of Cheetos. And so the current solution requires people who are used to dealing with insurance, billing, coding, known as revenue cycle managers. As you can imagine, there's a lot of variability in between each person. They usually take 3 to 25% of the revenue gain, which it's kind of expensive. The average hospital can spend about $56 million a year just to make sure they get paid correctly. And so that's where we come in. We're a lightweight AI coding platform kind of designed to displace some of these legacy solutions. We're fast, we're low cost, and some of these older products actually slow down the physicians, whereas we speed them up. And one of our biggest kind of differentiating factors is we're designed by surgeons. Myself and Dr. Brad Gilman are both practicing orthopedic surgeons who are fed up in clinic, and along with the help of a brilliant machine learning scientist, we've created an AI-driven coding company for doctors. We take a deliberate approach, and we focus on the clinic path. And so what does that mean? Well, when you have a dam that's leaking, do you build a giant water containment system to return the water back to the dam, or do you plug the hole? And that's what we try to do. Physicians are both the problem and their solution. And so we hit them at the point of entry. They have access to the data. They create the data, and they have knowledge of the encounter. They were there doing it. They know what happens. And so I have some screenshots on the right from our program, but we serve as a very quick, lightweight prompt to try to change the physician's behavior. We've got traction. We're in academic medical centers, private practices, professional organizations, and even some revenue cycle managers are using us because it speeds up their workflow so much. But what I want you to focus on is on this slide, from founder-led sales, there's 92,000 users. We have superior accuracy over humans. We can do the work of 1 FTE, and we bring in over $250,000 of extra revenue per physicians from our customers. So obviously hospitals are the whales, but if anybody here has ever dealt with a hospital, it's not fun. And I have contracts from them. But we're focusing on private practices first to establish validity, then move to the hospitals.
Okay, Grant, that's a great pitch. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd love to start because I live and breathe health tech, so starting with the right company here. I think you do a fantastic job of sort of outlining the value proposition for the clinician. And laying out the business case. But one of the challenges, as you know very well in health tech, is there are so many different users. You've got the patient, you've got the provider, you've got the health system, you've got the payer. And I think the piece that I would love to hear a little bit more on is the customer. Like, I understand the clinician is the user, but what is it that's actually getting the customer excited to pay?
So we're not a payer solution, we're a provider solution. And so we're B2B, we're B2C. We sell to physicians, we sell to private practices, and we sell to hospitals. But like I said, we also have adoptions from revenue cycle managers. We've been built, I mean, you know, it's a very heterogeneous process. Like when I was in practice, I was responsible for the coding. Some hospitals, they have giant coding departments. And so we've built a platform that anyone can use. And so if you look, if you look at the literature, it takes 74 minutes to code a note at the cost of $243. We do it in 3 seconds at the cost of $1 with superior accuracy.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I would just say, as you're finessing your pitch, focusing on, it's hard to be everything for everyone, right? So even though everyone uses it, what is it that's uniquely special about your pitch, your product, and your customer?
Physician driven,
or
physician targeted.
Okay.
I would add 2 things. Agree, great value prop, but I would have liked to have seen more about what is the actual product itself and where does it fit in terms of the workflow, because there's so many elements of that, like what a physician does, and so what exactly, where do you fit in? And then 2, like what are the integrations that may be needed? And then I would just add, great domain expertise, but this is a software product, and so what is the tech stack, and like where is the software expertise playing into this?
Sure. So we're integrated into every major EMR. We go right at the point of contact. So as the physician submits the note, they can run a real-time check. We'd love it if they did it on every single one of them, but they don't need that. We really only do it on more complex things. And so, we're hosted on the cloud. Jonathan, our machine learning expert, everything is we're using multiple LLMs, some homegrown, some off the shelf, kind of over the counter. And so really we're just adapting everything we can to try to be as fast and as cheap as possible.
Great feedback from my industry colleagues here. The point that I would add also is, I love your clarity on the market, the problem space that you're going after, and how you're thinking about going after the space. As part of the end of the pitch and asking for 4 million, it'd be interesting to see what are your near-term milestones, prioritization, both on the product side, on the team side, key hires you would be looking to add in order to achieve the milestones with this fundraising.
So for our raise, we're looking to actually form a sales team, because like I said, everything's been founder-led, so we're looking to hire 2 to 3 salespeople, which will get us to our target goal of 800 users a year. And that may not seem like a lot, but with our 800 users a year, that's an estimated ARR of 5.7 to 9 million. And so that's year 1. Year 2, we want to get over 1 million notes processed. And then, we use a dev shop, so bring development in-house.
I think related to that, pricing is another question. So how you're pricing, it's clear you're generating revenue, but what does that actually look like?
And so that's a great question. We do $1 per note. We do a flat fee. I mentioned earlier that a lot of people kind of take a percentage of revenue generated, but one thing we're trying to do differently, because as physicians, we understand the super thin margins that a lot of private practices and hospitals run on. And so we just, like I said, $1 a note. We want people have it there, not even thinking about it, just saying, you know what, I'm not sure if I'm right on this, click the button, and then not have to worry that they're wasting a ton of money.
Yeah. And finally, as someone who gets a lot of pitches, the competition slide. So there's a lot of noise right now around AI, and folks are going after coding and all of that. So how do you stand vis-a-vis the competitors in the space?
Well, and so that's another thing. I look at a lot of these other companies that are a lot bigger, a lot more money, and really with all this stuff, there's not a lot of defensibility other than money and market share. And so one of the things that we do differently, like I said, is we're surgeons. We understand surgeon behavior, doctor behavior, and I think I know better how to change someone's opinion because it's also my opinion, because I wear both hats. And I think by doing that, you'll be successful. I have surgeons reaching out to me now daily telling me, I see it learning, I love this. And it's almost gamifying it a little bit for them, but it's validating kind of all of their thoughts, because their thoughts are my thoughts, because I have the same problems.
I'm just very quickly curious, what's your moat against one of the big EMR companies adding this functionality themselves?
So actually, a lot of the big EMR companies are. And it's one of those things, and so like for instance, Epic's doing it for free, but you got to buy the new version of Epic, which not everyone can do. And so having used a lot of these EMRs, all I can tell you is I know how I like it, and that's how I create it, and that's not why I don't use their products.
Got it.
So
thank you very much, Grant.
Thank you.
Grant Muller from GaleAI.
Thank you.
Thanks. Our next pitch is going to come from Amrita Basin from Solitra. We'll put 10 seconds back on at the end. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name's Samritha, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sotia, workflow and compliance automation software for the surplus inventory problem. My co-founder, Gary Kwong, and I met years back as students at UC Berkeley. We've built, operated, and grown our own e-commerce businesses and built logistics operations in-house. We faced the problem of surplus and unsold inventory with our own businesses, and we thought it was just an us problem, but then we realized that our friends in the space were facing similar issues. So we came together to build Sotia. Companies are sitting on $800 billion worth of surplus inventory at every level of the supply chain, from farms to manufacturers to distributors to fulfillment centers to direct-to-consumer and consumer packaged good brands. Around a quarter of all inventory is surplus. This means that this capital is essentially fully locked up because as an e-commerce business, your biggest cost is your inventory. Carrying costs and overhead for surplus are especially high, and surplus procurement is a $500 billion industry, but building relationships and transacting in this space takes months. What this means is that surplus inventory is a costly and consistent problem that affects businesses and directly affects the bottom line, especially for food, health and wellness, and beauty items, which we focus on. So this is where Sotia comes in. We streamline the offloading, transacting, and logistics. Everything end-to-end, from offers to negotiations, to credit checks, to transactions, to coordinating pallet pickup logistics. We've partnered with the biggest instant commerce company in the US, and we've launched with grocery delivery companies, beauty and CPG brands, and fulfillment centers, and we're currently generating 6 figures ARR. We're venture-backed by top Silicon Valley investors and won second place at the 2023 AWS Amazon Web Service Startup Competition. We charge a SaaS fee and a take rate dependent on volume and consistency. If you're a business that struggles with surplus, or if you know of one, I'd love to chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita.
Happy to go first. Very passionate about this space, so I'm excited to hear that you're going after this. It sounds like you have some meaningful traction already. I'd be curious to learn more and would have loved to see a bit more examples of the kinds of verticals that you're focusing on first to start, how you're sequencing your go-to-market, and what your target customer is.
Sure. Do you want me to go through those things? That would be helpful for you? Okay. So we're focused on food, primarily dry grocery, ambient shelf-stable items, health and wellness items, and then we do a lot of beauty and cosmetics as well. This is where we are really interested and we see the white space because these items have shelf life in the sense like a lot of them have expiration or best by dates, and so this is kind of an indication for when to offload and kind of turn your warehouses. Warehouses are effectively like restaurants. They require constant turnover in order to be profitable, so that's something that a lot of businesses have to look at. In terms of go-to-market, we've partnered directly, like mentioned, with the biggest companies in instant commerce. We work directly out of their warehouses and also their micro-fulfillment centers. We have partnerships with third-party logistics centers, and we also work with brands directly. So that's primarily how we operate.
I would love more clarity on what your product is. And so is it software for CPGs, et cetera, to, I guess I don't really know what the software is for, or is this a marketplace to help them offload? And so I appreciate the market opportunity, but what is it that you're actually doing for these customers?
Good question. So we're a software platform that integrates with your storage capacity model or your WMS, which is your warehouse management system, whatever you have your inventory data in, as well as your expiration, your UPC, all the information that we kind of need to be able to operate. And then we pretty much identify what does it make sense to clear given the opportunity costs. Like if something is not selling and it's cheaper to clear it and bring something else in because storage space is super valuable, we can help you with that. And so we pretty much will streamline the whole process of offloading and then all the transactions, credit checks, all the logistics. So all you do is you just attach a label that says Sotia to the pallets and have them ready for pickup.
One of the things I loved about your pitch is how you started off talking about how you came together and specifically why this is the problem that you decided to hone in on. I would spend a little bit more time on that because I think that's really powerful and unique. And the other piece is you mentioned your venture backed. I think it's worth talking a bit more about like how much have you raised, what have you done with that, what does the team look like, and how do you use this round to scale from here?
That makes sense. Yeah, we're currently wrapping up a fundraise, so not ready to announce that yet. We will be soon. In terms of what we're using the capital for, it's primarily to grow our team. We want to be able to hire engineers and also hire customer experience to be able to grow partnerships with new fulfillment centers and new brands and serve them in a very consistent way.
Okay. So just on the customers, it would be, given that you've had some traction, it would be great to understand Like, what is your product roadmap, and how, if you're working with a specific brand, is it just a software sale? How do you maybe expand with that customer? Then how are you thinking about expanding outside of these 3 verticals?
That's a good question. So we started with the surplus problem, which is a behemoth of a problem. Like warehouses, obviously, like we're handling physical goods. We're handling goods that have expiration dates. They have UPCs. If you get 1 digit wrong in the UPC scanning, like that's a completely different product. So there's a lot of different things that you need to take into account. Now we're really interested in things like pallet packing. How can we optimize how the trucks are packed in the most efficient way? A lot of what we're doing ultimately comes down to carbon footprints and sustainability. Like the more efficiently you're able to offload, like most of this inventory, like we're talking about $800 billion market, a lot of this ends up in landfills, not because the items don't have value, but because people don't know what to do with it and they don't know how to handle it. And like the solution to so many things in America is just throwing them away. There's a culture, especially when it comes to waste and sustainability, and in sectors that we're talking about, like food, health, wellness, beauty, cosmetics, like everything from the retailers to the brands to restaurants have so much waste. So I would say it's really about thinking like we've built out this flow that's integrated with a lot of our customers. We're already working with really big customers, we're working with billion-dollar companies. We've sold into them. Like, how do we expand what we're building so all the other opportunities they have where they're being inefficient, like for example with their trucks, is something that we can look at as well to help them with. So that's kind of our focus, is like reverse logistics is a very old school space that's not automated in any way, and a lot of other things are coming up where our customers are like, can you generate this compliance for us? And we're like, sure. There's opportunities, I would say, across reverse logistics what we're building.
I'm glad you brought up climate, because I was going to actually ask. I was a bit surprised that didn't like come through a lot in the pitch, and I wasn't sure if that was intentional or not. Maybe you didn't want to be like bucketed in a climate category if you wanted to be more of a generalist, but I do think that's a powerful part. Clearly, it sounds like it's an important part of why you're doing this, so it might make sense to tell that story in the pitch.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a big part of why I'm doing this. A lot of the businesses we work with, from a financial perspective, they either have B Corp status or they're trying to get that. So what we're doing, like, this is something that like they can directly look at their bottom line and be like, we actually saved money, and like we actually also helped the environment. Like, we didn't have emissions from this, because everything is being tracked at the end of the day.
All right. Thank you very much, Amrita.
Good job.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Andre Azevedo from WingDriver.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome. March 7, 2014, a day that I will never forget. I just drive the short 5-mile distance back from my girlfriend's house to mine. That I do all the time, but this time I was tired. And after just driving for 5 minutes, I fell asleep and crashed. I totaled my car as well as someone else's, but thankfully, no one was injured. I was lucky, but not everyone is. Each year, 1.3 million people are killed in vehicle crashes, partially because of distraction and sleep. That's 3,000 people a day. This is huge. My name is Andre. I'm the CEO of WingDriver. We create a transformative impact on driver safety. We are using AI and computer vision to watch drivers' faces. And in case of they falling asleep or they are distracted, we generate an audio and visual alert to wake them up. And yes, this can work in everything. It can work on smartphones, tablets, and many other stuff. Our market is huge. We are targeting 544 million cars in Europe and in US. That's a $17 billion market opportunity. And we are in the right moment in time. We have consumers demanding this technology and companies investing in it. And also, we have even governments mandating this technology in all new cars. Europe is doing that, and the US is following along. We are ready to take this market opportunity. Our go-to-market strategy is divided in 4 different steps. We want to target first fleet management solution companies, ride-sharing companies, insurance, and auto manufacturers. And how we can do this? We have an amazing mobile software development kit that can be integrated in any existing app with large user base. Our team is in blue, the co-founders, and in white, the rest of the team. So we are working on driver monitoring systems since 2014. Myself and Philippe, we already have a successful exit in the space. Rui developed technology for Bosch to monitor passengers in vehicle systems. And we have a very good team with senior people to help us out. We are now fundraising a 2.5 million round, and we are very glad that we already have 700K soft committed from 2 VCs. And in the last 3 months, we accomplished a lot. We booked our first revenue. That is very, very cool. We have 3 companies currently deploying our technology on the market, saving lives. And we have new prospects from almost all over the world, Africa, EMEA, Latin America, US, and in Europe. Let's bring them safely, home safely. This is our objective. Thank you. My name is Andre. The future of mobility is here, and driver safety is at the forefront. Now, you can trust WingDriver to get you and your loved ones home safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Happy to go first. I thought your personal story was very powerful, and thank you for sharing your motivation for wanting to build in this space. I'd be curious to learn more about the nature of the deployment relationships you have, the business model, and how that would work in terms of go-to-market and implementation.
Yeah, cool. So we are targeting 4 different target markets, and we are learning with our customers that we need to build business models that are accordingly to their companies. So on fleets, we are selling per vehicle per month, a licensing fee. On ride-hailing is per mileage. They pay per mileage the use of our technology, and the insurance is going to be per person. And on automotive manufacturers, is going to be per vehicle, a licensing fee. Thank you for the question.
Also loved the founding story. I
Thank
think
you.
pretty much everyone in this audience probably knows someone who's been in a serious crash, if not themselves. So I thought that was very powerful. I wanted to hear a bit more about the tech behind it.
Okay.
And so, you've heard questions about product, but specifically, like, this is seems like a sophisticated, AI-based technology. How is it built? How long were you working on it? It sounds like you started in 2014. So in 10 years, were you focused on tech the whole time? Just a bit more on sort of the actual product.
Very good question. So we started the previous company back in 2014, and we sold it in 2019. We were doing what our competitors do, an hardware and software solution. But that doesn't work on ride-hailing companies, doesn't work on consumers, and doesn't work in many fleet companies. So back in 2021, we decided to, hey, let's try this on a phone. Let's try to build AI modules that can run on CPUs from phones. And we nailed that in the first 2 months. Then it was, of course, a lot of development in order to increase precision and accuracy and to build new algorithms. We are not only doing sleep and distraction, we are doing fatigue because we want to be preventive. We don't want for you to fall asleep. We want to stop you before falling asleep. We want to understand why you are distracted on the vehicle. So we build everything in-house. With our team, we cover all the development since we collect data, we label data, we build the AI model, the SDKs, Android and iOS, even the apps and the cloud dashboard that we are pushing right now.
I would have loved to have seen more about your customers because you said you have 3. And so I think it would have been awesome to include like case studies on those companies. And I'm just curious because you're taking a B2B strategy here. Like, what was it like getting that customer? And ultimately, are they forcing their drivers to use your application? And just maybe a little bit more about like how does that work and like how are you also providing with analytics, or maybe just a little bit more around the solution and why they chose to go with you, and ultimately like you need to make sure, or they need to make sure that these people are actually engaging with your application. And so maybe a little bit more about that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for the question. So yes, we have clients in US and in Europe, fleet management solution company deploying the technology here, the biggest oil and gas company in Portugal, and the biggest highway maintenance company in Portugal deploying the technology. We already have pilot with the second biggest ride-hailing in Portugal. We are now negotiating the deployment. So we are across all over the 2 main go-to-markets, or the 2 initial go-to-markets. And it's very good, that question, because I'm teaching the market on this technology exists, and we can start fighting the distraction driving because of the smartphone, or the distracted driving when you are texting or on the phone. That if we think we are trying to fix that since Nokia, right? So finally, there is a solution that any company can deploy and start quantifying the problem on distraction and fatigue and try to fix that based on KPIs and data that we collect. So in the end of the day, we have customers that are building their solutions on top of our SDK. That is our go-to-market strategy and what we want to grow as fast as we can. But we are early stage. We need to push a little bit more. So some companies are using our product that is frictionless, that is an app and a cloud solution.
I'm actually curious to hear, maybe you explained it and I didn't understand, but how does the app actually work? What does it do? How does it alert people? How does it, get you to be less fatigued or alert you that you have a problem?
So currently, we use the speakers and the screen, so we generate audio and visual alerts to wake you up or to focus you on the driving task. So, and the alerts change accordingly to the severity of the problem. If you are sleeping, it's a very loud noise in order to wake you up. But if you are distracted looking left or something like that, it's a small beep. So we give you some seconds to be distracted, but then you're going to receive that in order to try to change that behavior. And this automatically trains the drivers that is a bad behavior and that I can change automatically.
Great. Thank you much. We're out of
Thank
time,
you.
Andre.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, something that's coming through in this is definitely take time to describe the product very clearly. So for our fourth and final presenter today is Shensei Gu from Dify.AI.
Hello, is this audible?
It's working.
Awesome. So I am Gu, and nice meeting you all. I am the head of developer relations at Dify. Dify is an open source application building platform for AI native applications. Within 500 days, we've had over 2 million downloads, built a community of 480 plus global contributors, and this number is a bit outdated, but just as of today, we've crossed 50,000 stars on GitHub. These stats aren't driven by marketing campaigns. They're actual builders and developers recognizing our value and choosing to innovate with us. Can I actually, is that, which slide is this right now?
The Gen AI app.
Okay, awesome. We are at the crossing point in software development. Gen AI is more than just a chat button. Instead, it's a new paradigm that demands how we rethink and interact with software. Entrepreneurs, for the entrepreneurs, it's about shipping from idea to product in unprecedented speed. For the enterprise, it's about enabling every team to leverage the power of AI to improve their flows, not just the technical teams. And for developers, it's about managing an ever-evolving AI stack and making sure AI is integrated nicely into every layer of software. Dify cuts through all of these complexities. It lets you design AI applications as a workflow, managing and adjusting complex business logic visually. It's model agnostic and highly extensible, meaning you're never locked into one approach or one foundation model provider. The most crucial thing is Dify is never built for developers only. It's built for entire teams. In the same single browser-first interface, developers can manage data, integrate new tools, test and debug visually and in real time. At the same time, business owners and product managers can come in and define business logic directly as prompts without having to have developers write any single line of code. With Dify, building becomes ever more collaborative. The development cycle becomes drastically cut, and the application, and the business logic gets transformed into application at a speed that's faster than ever. Currently, thousands of developers and enterprises are using Dify to build, including YC startups, all the way up to major players like Thermo Fisher and Volvo.
Okay, I'm going to have to cut you off there, Gu. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's very hard to explain complicated enterprise software in 3 minutes.
Right.
I appreciate where you're coming from.
I'm happy to start. Congrats on all the traction and popularity you've gained so quickly. That's really exciting. Since the topic of this panel is pitch deck specific, I want to just comment on the actual slides in the deck. And I often tell this to founders that I work with. There's the deck that you send, and then there's the deck that you present. And I would say this is a great, deck or PDF for people to look through. But for a pitch and a presentation, there's too much on there, and it's a bit hard to follow. For example, the GenAI stack slide that we started with. Even though I'm staring at it here and listening to you, it's very hard to actually digest and distill from that what you want me to hear.
That makes sense.
So I think that's a very tactical point of feedback just in terms of the presentation itself.
Thank you for the feedback. Yeah.
I'll go next. I would love to hear why you started this company. And I think a lot of this is, it's so hard being an entrepreneur. And so what's your drive? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you building this?
Right. So I actually am an early employee of the company. Right now, we have 4 founders. And I joined, right a few months after they started the whole company. And I think the drive really comes from a lack of better tools in building in this space at the moment. I'm not sure how much you know about currently the AI landscape, but we obviously think that AI will be the future for software building. And right now the tools just aren't there for people to really express their ideas. And we want to bring this, AI kind of building to a bigger market and to open it up for more people and for people to collaborate in this whole process. So I think that really is the motivation behind the whole thing. And I joined because I think this is a wonderful team and I share the same motivation. I hope that makes sense.
Piggybacking off of that question, so much of it is about team, and so I would have loved to also see a team slide in the presentation, showing a little bit more the type of talent that is, joining the company, and also the type of talent that you're seeking to be able to go after this mission. So that would have been something that I think could have been a great slide to also include, given so much of it comes down to, especially in AI, where so many are building now, the team.
Related to the traction slide in the beginning, that was, again, very impressive. It would be nice to hear a little bit more about your hypotheses or even actual quotes from users about why this took off, what got them excited about it. Given all the tools that are out there, getting that kind of rating on GitHub and so on means something is working, something stood out. And so hearing in the words of users in addition to the numbers would add a lot of, I think, color as well. Gotcha.
Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, I think we got a lot of Twitter users sending feedback that way. Developers, I think they're more technical, and they're like a little bit shy from giving enthusiastic feedback.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's tons of Twitter feedback on Twitter.
That's great.
Yeah.
I would add, it's a very competitive space.
For sure.
And it is actually very challenging to build AI applications that actually work in the real world. It's very easy to create a demo, but how does this actually work within the enterprise? And so what I would have liked to see more of is, what is your ICP, your ideal customer? And one of the biggest problems is are you developers? It sounded like it was an array of things, but for an enterprise that's Fortune 500, for example, where they really care about accuracy and no hallucination, it's very actually complex to build an application that works. I would have liked to have heard a bit more about who is your ideal customer, and then how do you really solve things in the real world that people care about, including accuracy?
Mm-hmm. Do I have time to answer that question?
Sure, go for it.
Right. So yeah, I think we are a very horizontal company, and I think we're just seeing use cases springing from kind of all over the board at this moment. I can give you probably one example, and we just signed this kind of a testing provider. Like a major testing provider in the US. And what they're doing is basically automating the kind of question compliance checking flow for their internal team. So, before, when they come up with a new question, this will go through different teams to check off different points, for example, security or, racial equity and difficulty and those kind of things. Right now, they're kind of automating that whole thing with LLMs. So yeah, like, like there are many kind of use cases and vertical examples from in different industries. But yeah, like that would just be one example that we see people are doing. And yeah, like as you said, I think this is a super complicated process, and each team are utilizing it differently. But I think collaboration is definitely something that we're seeing kind of over the board from different teams. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Before we end, I just want to ask if any of you have sort of general feedback or something you can take away from all 4 of these presentations. And mine was, as a journalist, I always want to know what the thing is. Like, what is it? Is it an SDK? Is it an API? Is it middleware? Is it, what's the thing and how does it work? So.
Yeah, happy to go next. What I would emphasize is don't underestimate the power of the personal motivation and the story as to the why you are starting this company. And so spending a little bit of time on that upfront, why am I and my team best positioned to go after this, and why do we care about this, and who is the team that is building this, is definitely something that we love spending time on.
So I think we need the what, and we need the why, and I would add that we also need the who piece of it, and you alluded to that a little bit, but so much of early stage investing is just team. We all know if we do multi-stage investments, the product deck will look entirely different from a seed to a Series D to an IPO filing, but hopefully the team stays consistent, so we want to learn more about who's there as well.
And totally agree with everything that you guys shared. I would just maybe double click on the why. And part of that is not just why are you starting this company, but what is your vision and the big market opportunity that you're going after? And it starts in one area, but how does that grow over time and really become a huge opportunity?
Great. Well, thank you very much to the partners who joined us here on stage, and thank you all for sitting in the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.